Hi, I'm Jennifer Donley and welcome to Mindful Art Journaling. Today I'm going to be filming a tutorial for you with several of the things that we covered in class. And I want to start this practice today with something that I typically do just to kind of warm up and get those creative juices flowing and just kind of start things off on the right track. So what I want to do is a contour line drawing. Now, these are blind contour line drawings because I am not going to be looking at my page. I will be looking at what I intend to draw, which in this case is this little stem with some leaves. So I'm going to switch my camera over so that I can demonstrate this for you. Many of you will remember that we've done this in class, but it's always a great way to start your practice before you start your slow drawing. And it's also a really good way to strengthen your drawing skills. So the way that I do this is I usually like to hold in my hand or put it somewhere where I can see it, something that I'd like to draw. And I find a focal point or something that's most interesting to me. And that's where I start. And as your eyes move along, just like this, along the edges, that's as your hand moves on the paper. So it increases your eye-hand coordination, which it only enhances your drawing skills. This practice also teaches you how to draw what you see versus what's in the brain, what you think you see. So you're actually listening to your eyes and not your brain in this practice. So just for a quick little example here, and this is something that I encourage you to do on your own. Take your time. This is not a fast process. You'll find that if you go too quickly, your hand and eyes are not working together and you just go right back to drawing what you think is there instead of what is actually there. The whole point of this drawing exercise is to go slowly and deliberately. So I'm going to start with this nice little doohickey thing here on this little stem. I'm going to start there, and then I'm going to go over this way toward this part of the leaf and just demonstrate right there for you. So I'm going to start. Now, keep in mind, I'm not looking at my paper. I'm looking, and I'm going to move my hand out here so I can't see it. I'm looking right here at the leaf that I'm holding in my hand. So I'm going to start. And as my eyes move, my hand moves on the paper, slowly and deliberately, so that I don't get ahead of myself. And then as my eyes start to find the leaf shape and follow along the leaf shape, my hand does the same thing on the paper. So you just want to get a nice kind of rhythm going. Now this is one continuous line. So if you should decide that you want to draw something like some detail on the inside of the leaf, just go straight to it. Don't pick up your pen, because if you do that, that's how you lose your place. It breaks your concentration. I'm going down now underneath the side of the leaf. It's okay to run off the page if you do. Just hop right back on there. Then you can always go back to the interior of the leaf and just kind of draw what you see there. You can do this for as long as you like, with as much detail as you like. but I'm going to stop right there because you get the idea. I could always go back and continue to draw some of these little lines in here. Don't worry if it's funny looking, but just enjoy the character of your lines, the way that they just kind of flow on the page. They have a certain organicness to them that you don't always see when you're trying to draw a straight line or the perfect line. So just kind of enjoy it like that. And this is something that I recommend that you practice, as often as you can. Anything, 5-10 minutes, daily drawing, your drawing skills will thank you. So now I'm going to switch my page over and introduce our slow drawing pattern for the day. So this is the pattern. This is an example of it right here. I call this pattern tangled because you see all of the lines just kind of intersecting and flowing over top of each other. And then other places where I filled in with the curved lines in between the shapes that are created by the curved lines. Now you can do this in any medium that you like. I am going to do just with the pen, and then I will go back and proceed to fill in. Now, because this is a tutorial, I'm not going to do it the full amount of the time. I'm going to just demonstrate the process to you and the pattern to you, and then you can find your own music and you can draw as long as you'd like. So what I do is before I start slow drawing, I get into a comfortable position. I relax my arms, my shoulders, my neck. That's where I tend to carry all of my tension. And then I take several deep breaths and just relax. So I'm going to start, and this is not a blind contour, by the way. You can start wherever you like, but nice and slow to whatever music that you choose to listen to. And just nice and slowly let your lines flow across the page. Now you'll notice I'm doing this on a page that I've already prepped. I've done some textures on this page and just kind of printed some textures, a little bit of paint. It's always nice to have something on there that you don't have to start from scratch. So I just have these lines flowing, intersecting, beside each other, different directions. Nice and slow. If you feel yourself speeding up in the process, just take some deep breaths. Stop, take some deep breaths, and slow down. Do a few more, and then I will go back and fill in. You can also go from different directions. Just do whatever feels right. Okay. So you can continue to do this portion of the drawing as long as you like, but you'll notice that I've got all of these really interesting little shapes that are formed now from these lines where they intersect. So the second part of this is to go back and just kind of fill those spaces with some curved lines. You can go in any direction you want. You can let it change direction. You can keep them nice and close together. or space them out. You can fill it however you want. Let it move. It takes on kind of a flowy, kind of a movement to it. You can go in different directions. You can fill it in like this. Remember to go slow. I'm going a little faster than I normally would, just to show you the pattern and for the sake of instruction. And you can go back and forth rather than in one direction. You can also choose a different medium. Here I've got a blue gel pen, so I can go in some areas and fill in there. Now this won't show up on the paper until it dries. That's the kind of gel pen that this is. It's the Soufflé brand, which is what I typically use in class. And I think it makes it more interesting when you add more colors and you fill in with different shapes and patterns. I like to do what you guys may recognize this from the lichen pattern, mushroom pattern that we did. It's very similar. Just be careful with the gel pens because they do take a while to dry and they can smear quite a bit. They're not quite dry. And this one I did in the opposite direction. So it's always a nice surprise to see how it starts to dry when you put this in. So I'll do one more right here, and then I'll go back and show you the tangled pattern on some other pages, and then we will move on. What's interesting about this on this page is I already had some lines from the textured printing that I had done before, just using corrugated cardboard. So these lines are intersecting, which kind of adds a little bit more to the whole tangled pattern. There. So you can see where it's starting to dry in places and how it shows up. So tangled pattern is starting to emerge, and I'll go back and show it to you on this page. So you can see, looks really nice with the colored gel pens on the black paint. And then I also have it here in this page as well. You can see the blue and the black and the way it fills in the lines. These are also some examples of contour leaf drawings on this page that we did in class. Here and there. And then, of course, the peekaboos. Fun. Okay, so the next thing that I'd like to demonstrate for you today are these negative leaf shape paintings. These are a lot of fun and very simple way to stimulate your creativity, give yourself just some extra fun things to think about and places to include your slow drawing patterns So when I say negative space, I mean painting around something, painting the around space, which is the background, and then leaving the space empty in many cases, the actual leaf shape. So, but then you have like a blank canvas, these little blank canvases that you can go back and fill up with your slow drawing patterns, as I've done here. So this is a page that I've been working on. And then also on this page. So you can see the different leaves that I've added to the shape. So I've brought with me today several different leaves that I can use to create my negative space patterns. So I want to talk a little bit, and I'm going to be working on the same page, about the color brown. So brown is a beautiful color. It can be a deep, rich, intense color. There are all different shades of it, and there are going to be so many different browns in our environment as these leaves dry up and as we head into winter. The ochres and the burnt umbers and beautiful colors. I like to mix my browns by using complementary colors. So just for a little color theory refresher, I'm going to move this out of the way so that I can show you on this piece of paper how to mix some of these beautiful browns. So I have the 3 sets of complements here. I also have the 3 primary colors, which are blue, yellow, and red. So just a refresher, complementary colors are colors that are across from each other on the color wheel. When they're called complementary because they cause each other to just vibrate. So think about Christmas, think about red and green and how bright and how those colors kind of vibrate next to each other. So red and green is one set of complementary colors. Purple and yellow is another example of a complementary color, and blue and orange is another example. They're also all 3 primary colors mixed together because each complementary color set has got a secondary color that is made by mixing the primary colors. For example, orange is made from mixing red and yellow, green is made from mixing blue and yellow, and purple is made from mixing purple and red. So really you're mixing all 3 of the primary colors together whenever you use complementary color scheme. But so just to show you the difference though, when you start with one versus the other. So here's blue and yellow. And it depends on the shade of the color that you're using. And here's some red. And so when you mix it together, you get a beautiful kind of a raw sienna color, brown. Very pretty. Okay, so if I were to mix blue and orange together, I may end up with something similar to that. It just depends on the shades of colors that you're using. So this one looks like it has a little more blue in it, so I'm going to add a tiny bit more orange. So there is, it's kind of a blue toned brown. So I'm going to mix next the purple and yellow together, and I really recommend that you play with this. I'm going to add some yellow, and then I'm going to add some purple. Maybe some more purple here. And this is a very different, almost like a taupey color of brown. So you see, when I say brown, I can mean anything because you see all the different shades and versions here that you can get by mixing your own. So let's do the red and the green. Now this is my favorite brown. It's very dark and rich with reddish undertones. And I really hope that the camera is showing the difference here. But this is really one of my favorite browns. Very rich, beautiful color. So I'm going to be using these browns for my negative leaf shapes. So I just wanted to, again, show you all the different versions and variations of the browns in there. Beautiful. So I encourage you to play with that. Come up with your own. So I'm going to bring my sketchbook or my art journal back over here, and I am going to paint my negative shapes. So I am going to use the very first one here, my favorite, which is the red and the green, and I'm going to mix it on my palette before I put it on the paper, just so I'm happy with the overall color. There we go. Rich, beautiful color. So I'm going to lay this face down because it just seems to, you want to put it wherever it feels like it's going to stay better. It's kind of, I'm going to put it face down here. And I'm going to paint over it from the middle of the leaf out like this. You'll find the hardest thing about this is just keeping your leaf still, because they do like to move. But if you start in the middle of the leaf, I think it's easier. And then just brush it on off the page. I'm going to even do a little bit of the stem here, because I do like this stem. Okay. And lift it up. Now, you can then water down your brush a little bit and just kind of go back and smooth the paint, let it just kind of fade out across the page so that you don't have like an actual outline feel to it. Something else that's fun to do is maybe do a little bit of splatter with just water. And then you can lift up with a paper towel once it dries a little. That's kind of fun too. You can see, get some interesting variations in there. And I'm all about interesting. Okay, very neat. So you can either repeat the same shape, these beautiful negative spaces that I have here, or you can add a different shaped leaf. So it's better if you have a leaf that's not quite as crumbly, just because. So I think what I'm going to do, I have this giant leaf here. So I think it might be fun to just kind of let it fade across both pages here. And I'm going to mix a different shade of brown this time. I'm going to use the blue and the orange to mix a different shade. This is more of a rusty color. And I don't want them to be exactly the same because I want you to be able to tell the difference. And next to this one, it's amazing how your different colors start to just really show up when they're next to each other. It might look completely brown to you, but then you put it next to another brown and you're like, wait, that looks kind of red or greenish. Just going to paint around, coming from the on the leaf off and across. There we go. See those beautiful edges. Love it. And then I'm just going to move them together. Something else that's really fun to use is a baby wipe or a sanitizing wipe, which is what I think this is. So it'll have some alcohol in it. And then you can just kind of use it to blend your paints together right here. Across the page. And it just really softens and blends and lets everything kind of just run together. You get variations in shading that way. And you have a really fun canvas to go back and do some slow drawing patterns or add some other colors or do some splatters, anything. Just add some more of your beautiful browns that you've mixed. And just kind of let them run together. What I like about doing this kind of thing and just using the one page for everything is that I have so much interesting things happening on here now because I have my printed texture, I have my slow drawing patterns, I have my negative leaf shapes, and I'm going to add some more splatters. This is just splatters of water so that I can lift it up off of there. So let it sit for a second and lift it up. Yeah, neat patterns. Just going to do a little more blending right here. There we go. Beautiful page canvas to get started. See what kind of creative things can happen there. So thanks for following along with me. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to reach out. You all have my email. And have fun. Happy creating.